Hey everybody, welcome back to Solid Performance Solutions. Chris McCabe of e-commerce Chris here. I'm with Matt Costin of Product Pinion. We've had you on a couple of times. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. As we were discussing a moment ago, the Agentic AI shopping experience is all the rage. I know you've been to a couple events, maybe the last couple of months, but this must be what's discussed in most of the circles you're moving in. And I assume that is mostly around how are buyers looking for product now versus how they were doing it 6 months ago, 12 months ago, and what you need to do strategy wise.
Yeah, totally. So the game of search is changing, obviously, where now we have these agents that can basically go shopping for us, which is cool. And obviously that's a big push, and a lot of people are talking about that, like that's the next big thing. And I agree. Like I hate having to shop for mundane stuff, like the usuals, the basics. I'd rather be like, hey, Chat GPT, get me the toilet paper or the whatever paper towel that's the cheapest, whatever. So I think a big shift with that is, and it makes sense even in today's market too, where if you're fairly generic, if you don't have like an actual brand, like a lot of people think just slapping a logo on something is a brand.
Not
And
anymore.
no,
Yeah.
no, because I think one rooted thing with people is that people, depending on the category, actually enjoy the process of shopping, right?
Hmm.
So if it's particular things that aren't necessarily like routine, they actually do want to buy and associate with a brand because that's what gives them identity, right? A proper brand gives people identity. It's how the big brands are able to sell ridiculously expensive stuff because it gives people a sense of identity.
Right.
So something I've been thinking about big time is, yeah, like how can brands stand out by actually implementing that and actually standing for something? And one of the strategies that will help with the LLMs is literally, if you want LLMs to mention you, give them something to talk about. So anytime you can name a specific feature or you can come up with some specific thing that your brand does so that, when people are searching like, hey, what's the best whatever for whatever category, the LLM has some extra like tidbit or a little something something that'll be like, okay, I'm going to recommend this one because I've seen all these citations, I've seen all these backlinks referring to this one and referring to this specific thing.
So functionality, like the bullets on your detail page would be scraped.
Yeah, so
And
for example, like Apple,
yeah,
I mean, this is just a good standard practice anyway. So for example, like Apple has a Retina display. What the heck is a Retina display? They made up the term Retina, right? Just sounds
right.
cool. But, now can we influence an LLM to be like, oh yeah, which has the best display out of all of the computers? Maybe the
Right.
LLM will be like, oh yeah, Mac is great because of their Retina display and it's been cited this many times, that sort of thing. So it's basically just making, in essence, it's just making things up to make your brand stand out. That's for the LLM, but it's also for like a person wants to know, like when they're buying stuff, they want to feel a certain way. And you're able to kind of, as a brand, that's your mission. It's your job to kind of create these things to create that value. Another great way of doing this, you don't have to just make up features, name features and whatnot, which you should do, and you can trademark them. And there's a whole other fun thing around that. But you can also stand out by having a good guarantee, right? I feel like that's even table stakes these days, where people are only going to want to transact with you if they know that there's absolutely no, money back guarantee is one thing. Naming your guarantee is another thing. So, for example, one of the brands I work with, it's a travel brand, and I say like lifetime never lost guarantee for the luggage tags, and that stands out, and people resonate with that, and they choose my product over the others because
Mm,
of that. And the
right.
hope and the game plan is the LLMs will use that as a differentiator when they're recommending products when someone asks.
Yeah, I guess part of this frenzy of activity around AI and how it's going to impact shopping is what is a one-off or a one-time thing and what is a new cemented experience that you can replicate, right? There must be tips and tricks people use to get like a short burst, but is that short-term thinking versus long-term thinking? Or do you start your basis of long-term research on the short-term experiments?
Yeah, I think when it comes to, I think consistency is a big play for at least optimizing for your brand and for any AI thing. So the more resources that an LLM
Mm-hmm.
can pull from that mention the same thing, like, hey, this is the best X because of Y, and it can cite more of those, you're that much more likely to become the resource, to become the answer when it has more sources. So very similar, like back in the day with SEO, more backlinks. Backlinks are
Mm-hmm.
votes. The more votes you have, the more likely you appear higher on the Google search results. Similar idea with the LLMs, but in this case, you don't even need backlinks. It's even easier, where you just need people mentioning stuff. So doing Reddit marketing and other forums and things where you can have people like mention specific things over and over again of what you want your brand or your product to represent can go a long way for getting more mentions in anything AI.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, Product Opinion, you're the masters of A/B testing. So is this an A/B testing dream? Everything that's coming down the pike with AI, or is it too difficult to strategize because there's too many AI tools to choose from, and you have to A/B test a million of them, and it's like cumbersome?
Yeah, so I mean, the interesting thing with the AI, the interesting thing is like making creatives and making options have never been so easy,
Yeah.
especially options that are just good enough for testing. So obviously we need, a lot of times we still need a human in the loop, which Danny talks about all the
Mm-hmm.
time, McMillan from Seller Sessions,
Yeah.
to fine tune what the output is. But what's exciting for us is that making variations that are just good enough for someone to run an A/B test and see how their main image would perform in a simulated environment as if it was on Amazon, it's easy now. It's super easy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's specialized tools like listing optimization.ai that make it even easier because it has the context of Amazon powering it versus just trying to go directly to like chat gpt or Gemini or whatnot. Yeah, it's exciting for us because it does mean that there's just more to test, right, which is the name
Mm-hmm.
of the game. But then I think what you're alluding to as well is that it makes the process like we have to nail down more of a culture of testing and more of a culture of process of how to actually accomplish this, because obviously you can get lost in the data, lost in the options, lost in the
Yeah.
in the thick of things.
You might hear, okay, here's my presentation of our results. And then they're like, okay, so what choice do we make based on that?
Yeah.
Like they might grasp what you're saying. And there isn't tons and tons of historical data from using Rufus or whatever to base decisions on. I mean, it's all kind of in its infancy, right? Or do you think it's maturing now? I don't even remember when Rufus became an everyday conversation, to be honest with you. But
Yeah, like
um,
about 2 years ago when they launched, and then obviously now it's
mhm.
more. I mean, it's growing. Obviously, it's
Yep.
growing. It's becoming basic. I think it's just going to be Amazon's default search. It's not going to be
Mhm.
anything. There's not going to be a difference between search and Rufus. It's just literally going to be on there. And something that's cool that we're working on is a third, like us studying just how shoppers are actually using Rufus, and we have a unique ability to actually watch people shop on Amazon, so we can actually record it. So one of the
Oh,
tests that we have, yeah. So one of the tests that we
like
have is
focus
literally,
group style, kind of.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, but more scalable. So you
Mm-hmm.
have these individual sessions where their screens are recorded. They know they're being recorded. They're answering questions out loud. We can even have them do certain tasks as they're being recorded. So we can literally tell them like, hey, interact with this Amazon's AI chatbot, and then just watch them and see what they're actually doing. And then
Mm-hmm.
obviously these are individual interactions, but when we put a bunch of them together, we can get some very interesting data on how Rufus is actually being used. And then once we know how Rufus is being used, and not just what Amazon's saying of how Rufus is being used, because there's a big difference of what Amazon says and sometimes
Yeah.
the reality of it,
Right.
then we take that data and then we can act on it.
Yeah. And you're going to these different events, giving talks, talking to other people. Do you think there's going to be a glut of commentary on AI that'll turn off people that aren't living and breathing it every day? Or do you think it's just going to get to the point where it's such a necessity that people want the glut of information so that they can keep talking about it, so that they can just, by sheer force of will, pound the information into their head so that they're equipped to make those decisions?
Yeah, the tons of conferences. Obviously,
Right.
everyone's talking about AI. One of the ones I am super pumped for is, I mean, we know Kevin always puts on a great event.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually shifted his whole focus on ecom to basically AI. So he has ecom mastery AI as his main event this year.
Mm-hmm.
Super pumped for that one. We're going to be there. We have a booth as well too. And there's over 40 people. And I've seen and know a lot of these people too. Like I've got to see their talks or some of their workshops that they've done at another event called Market Masters. And
Mm-hmm.
it's next level stuff. Like it is mind blowing the stuff that they're sharing. Some of the things we had to like swear to secrecy because it's that interesting. And I'm sure you'll get a piece of that when you're attending Ecom Mastery AI. So I'm super pumped for those.
For Nashville. Yeah. Trying to figure out if I can make that. It's kind
Yeah,
of at a
man.
tough time because it's a big window after the Prosper show, which is what's coming up next.
And Prosper Show, of course, as well, too.
Yeah.
That's a staple. Like, we'll be there.
Yep.
We'll be sponsoring it as well. Look forward to that one.
Yeah. I know it's all the rage. I just want to make sure, like, if brands ask me questions about it, I can put people in different categories of need. Like, you're strong on this AI agentic search concept, but you're weak on this one. And so this is the right place to go. My job is to direct people when they ask.
Yeah, like
But
looking at the
yeah,
lineup, like for AI specific, like if someone they want the latest and greatest AI, I would run straight to Kevin's
yeah,
event.
yeah. And now, what other initiatives or programs are you guys doing at Product Pinion that are new 2026, whether it's AI related or not, versus last year, the last time we talked?
Yeah, a lot of fun stuff. So something we've been working with is direct integrations. So
Mm-hmm.
just working with a lot of the apps that can generate these creatives so that it's a one click. Hey, I generated these creatives, one click, and now we're testing them with real people. So as
Right.
easy as it is to make creatives, we sometimes lose sight that at the end of the day, it is still now people looking at the creatives. And you want to make sure what you create actually resonates with real human beings.
Yeah.
Wow, right? Like what a concept. So we want to make it like super easy that you can take what AI creates and see, because a lot of times when you're in the thick of it and you're doing these AI creations, it's hard to take a step back and get like a third party kind of look or a new pair of eyes. And being
Mm-hmm.
able to test things and seeing what shoppers actually resonate or don't resonate with can make all the difference on getting those conversions. So integrations is a big one. We're also opening up a lot of testing opportunities with other channels. So for
Right.
example, we just recently we soft launched Walmart. We haven't actually announced it yet, but it is actually live in everyone's account. So you can
Mm-hmm.
actually make Walmart search simulations and see how you can increase your click-through rate there too. And something that we are also working on is an interesting setup with testing TikTok and trying to figure out which influencers would actually resonate best with your audience before actually going out there and paying for these influencer videos and
Right.
understanding which ones would actually make the most out of them. So yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of fun stuff coming up there.
That sounds valuable because there's so many influencers. How do you weight which one has good track record with your kind of product or the best approach to marketing
Or in
your
this
kind of
case, what
product?
we'll
Yeah.
also be able to test is actually AI influencers. So you don't even have a real
Yep.
person behind the scenes. It's literally like,
Yep.
hey, will this AI influencer be better than this one? And figure out with statistical significance if so. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. My phone keeps giving me AI realistic girlfriend suggestions. I was like,
Yeah,
wow,
who's
that's
your girl?
interesting. So you call, like, I'm thinking, how do you marry old world with new world? Like, you call your AI girlfriend and have a conversation about where you're going tonight, but you don't actually go anywhere. You go somewhere virtual. Like, what?
Having options is not a bad thing.
Oh my God. So funny. Yeah, no, that's great. So you're testing search and different techniques on Amazon and then rolling out to the other platforms that you're integrating with because you have some data and some use experience on Amazon first, which in theory that'll translate over to Walmart, Etsy,
Yeah,
whatever, I would assume. Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Matt, you're an easy guy to find online and in person. Let's just say people don't roll into Nashville or Vegas anytime soon. Where can they reach you?
Yeah, easiest is matt at productpinion.com. And obviously, we have a free trial there. If you haven't tried us out, you can talk to get 20 shopper opinions for free just by signing up. So hit us up there, and always
Nice.
happy to help and talk shop and share ideas.
Yep. And if you have cool stuff in your booth at Prosper, I'm going to be hanging out there too. So
Nice.
awesome. All right. Thanks, Matt Costin of Product Pinion. Thanks again for listening in to Solid Performance Solutions. We'll be coming back next week with another great episode. Have a good one.
Thanks, Chris. Cheers.